Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second day of narration of this book. This is basically in the series, it is the second book we are reading. And today, this is the second day to read this second book. The name of the book is Choose Your WoW, a disciplined agile delivery handbook for optimizing your way of working. It was authored by Scott W. Ambler and Mark Lyons, and this is owned by PMI Disciplined Agile. As I've told you, Disciplined Agile has been acquired by PMI, and now this is the property of PMI. Yesterday, we started off with this book and we read over the foreword, the preface, the content, a lot many other things. And ultimately, we ended up in chapter 1, page 10. We completed our reading till page 10. Naturally, that included a lot many other preface and all those things, and that was more than 10 pages actually read. But we today start from 11 page onwards. This is the 11 page. On top of the page, there is a figure, the scope of discipline agile. Although I understand this is not really very clear, let me make it a bit more clearer and let us try to, yeah, okay. So you can see in this diagram, we have got three layers. The internal layer is discipline DevOps. In disciplined DevOps, we have got disciplined agile delivery, security, data management, release management, support, and IT operations. If you look at the value stream, this is our central boundary. It has got portfolio management, product management, and program management. And on the periphery, we have research and development, business operations, strategy, governance, marketing, continuous improvement, and sales. And the outermost boundary includes disciplined agile enterprise. This is the highest level, the scaling up, and it does include enterprise architecture, people management, information technology, asset management, transformation, finance, vendor management, and legal. And on the bottom, the foundation is naturally the agile principles, promises, guidelines, agile itself, lean, serial, roles, teams, and way of working. Wow. So this is a good depiction of the scope of complete discipline agile, which starts from DAD, DevOps, disciplined DevOps, value stream, and ultimately the disciplined agile enterprise. And whole of it is called disciplined agile. Okay, moving on. The first heading we are starting today is guided continuous improvement, GCI. Many teams start their agile journey by adopting agile methods such as Scrum W, and you remember W means Wikipedia, so you can refer it to Wikipedia and so on. Extreme programming, XP, or dynamic systems development model, DSDM, return. Large teams dealing with scale. We'll discuss what scaling really means in chapter 2. May choose to adopt SAFe, that is scaled agile framework. Less, this is again a scaled model. Nexus, to name a few. These methods, frameworks, each address a specific class of problems that agile team face, and from our point of view, they are rather prescriptive in that they don't provide you with many choices. Sometimes, particularly when frameworks are applied to contexts where there aren't an ideal fit. Teams often find that they need to invest significant time descaling them to remove techniques that don't apply to their situation, then add back in other techniques that do. Having said that, when frameworks are applied in the appropriate context, they can work quite well in practice. When you successfully adopt one of these prescriptive methods frameworks, your team productivity tends to follow the curve shown in figure 1.6. I'll show you that. At first, there is a drop in productivity because the team is learning a new way of working. It's investing time in training, and people are often learning new techniques. In time, productivity rises, going above what it originally was, but eventually plateaus as the team falls into the new WoW. Things have gotten better, but without concerted effort to improve, you discover that team productivity plateaus. This is figure 1.6. It shows team productivity when adopting a prescriptive method or framework. You see, basically, when you start adopting this any new method, you start improving. Initially, you go down because your speed is slow, you are learning, you're investing a lot of effort in it, and then you start improving, and then you rise above the water level, and you reach your the maximum level you can reach, and ultimately you plateau, adopting a prescriptive method and framework. So this is against time and improvement. Some of the feedback that we get about figure 1.6 is that this can't be, that Scrum promises that you can do twice the work in half the time. Sutherland. Sadly, this claim of 4 times productivity improvement doesn't seem to hold water in practice. The recent study covering 155 organizations, 1500 waterfall and 1500 agile teams found actual productivity increases of agile teams, mostly following Scrum, to be closer to 7 to 12%. Rifer. At scale, where the majority of organizations have adopted SAFe, the improvement goes down to 3 to 5%. There are many ways that a team can adopt to help them improve their WoW strategies that are captured by the Evolve WoW process goal described in chapter 24. Many people recommended an experimental approach to improvement, and we have found guided experiments to be even more effective. The Agile community provides a lots of advice around retrospectives, a working session where a team reflects on how they get better, and the Lean community gives great advice for how to act on the reflections. Figure 1.7 summarizes W. Edward Deming's Plan, Do, Steady, Act PDCA improvement loop, sometimes called a Kaizen loop. It is also called Deming Circle. There are many ways for it, many names for it. This was Deming's first approach to continuous improvement, which he later evolved to Plan, Do, Check and Act. Yes, of course, PDCA, we are more familiar about it, which became popular within the business community in the 1990s and the Agile community in the early 2000s. But what many people don't realize is that after experimenting with PDCA for several years, Deming realized that it wasn't as effective as PDSA and went back to it. The primary difference being that the study activity motivated people to measure and think more deeply about whether a change worked well for them in practice. So we have decided to respect Deming's wishes and recommend PDSA rather than PDCA. So as we found critical thinking such as this results in improvements that stick. Some people gravitate towards US Air Force Colonel John Boyd OODA observe, orient, decide and act loop to guide their continuous improvement efforts. As always, our advice is to do what works for you. Regardless of which improvement loop you adopt, remember that your team can and perhaps should run multiple experiments in parallel, particularly when the potential improvements are on different areas of your process and therefore won't affect each other. If they affect each other, it makes it difficult to determine the effectiveness of each experiment. Here it shows figure 1.7, the PDSA continuous improvement loop: plan, do, study, and act. The basic idea with the PDSA, PDCA, or OODA, continuous improvement loop strategy, is that you improve your WoW as a series of small changes. A strategy the lean community calls Kaizen, which is Japanese for improvement. In figure 1.9, you see the workflow for running on experiments. The first step is to identify a potential improvement, such as a new practice or strategy that you want to experiment with to see how well it works to you in the context of your situation. The effectiveness of potential improvement is determined by measuring against clear outcomes, perhaps identified via a goal question metric, GQM, or an objective and key result, OKR, strategy as described in chapter 27. Measuring the effectiveness of applying the new WoW is called validated learning. It's important to note that figure 1.8 provides a detailed description of a single pass through a team's continuous improvement loop. I'll be showing you these 1.8 and 1.9 again and again. The value of DA, Disciplined Agile, is that it can guide you through this identification step by helping you to agnostically identify a new practice strategy that is likely to address the challenge you are hoping to address. By doing so, you increase your chances of identifying a potential improvement that works for you, thereby speeding up your effort to improve your WoW. We call this guided continuous improvement. In short, at this level, the DA toolkit enables you to become a high-performing team quicker. In the original DAD book, we described a strategy called measured improvement that worked in a very similar manner. Here is the diagram 1.8. It shows an experimental approach to evolving our WoW. Okay, it starts with, if you start from top to down, it is on plan, do, study, and act. It says identify a potential improvement, try out the new WoW experiment, assess the effectiveness. Effective to us, then adopt the new WoW. Not effective to us, abandon the new WoW, go to share learnings with others, and then go back to identify a potential improvement. And this cycle goes on and on and on. A similar strategy that we have found very effective in practice is lean change. Lean change, particularly at the organizational level, the lean change management cycle overviewed in figure 1.9 applies ideas from lean startup RICE, in that you have insights, hypothesis, identify potential options to address your insights, and then run experiments in form of minimum viable changes, MVCs. These MVCs are introduced, allowed to run for a while, and then the results are measured to determine how effective they are in practice. Teams then can choose to stick with the changes that work well for them in the situation that they face and abandon changes that don't work well. Where CGI enables teams to become high performing, lean change enables high performing organizations. The lean change management cycle is in figure 1.9. It shows you start with insights, move on to options, then you have minimum viable change, MVC, which may give a startup to prepare, introduce, and review. You get back to minimum viable change, get back to insight, and these cycles continue. The improvement curve for unguided continuous improvement strategies is shown in figure 1.10 as a dashed line. You can see that there is still a bit of a productivity dip as first as teams learn how to identify MVCs and then run the experiment, but this is a small and short-lived. The line depicts the curve for CGI. In context, teams are more likely to identify options that will work for them, resulting in a higher rate of positive experiments and thereby a faster rate of improvement. In short, better decisions lead to better outcomes. Figure 1.10 is about guided continuous improvement. GCI enables teams to improve faster, a graph between time and effectiveness, in which the dotted graph is about the continuous improvement, and the guided continuous improvement graph, you can see it is sharply excelling upwards. Of course, neither of the lines in figure 1.10 are perfectly smooth. A team will have ups and downs, with some failed experiments, that is the downs, where they learn what doesn't work in their situation, and some successful experiences like ups, where they discover a technique that improves their effectiveness as a team. The full line representing GCI will be smoother than the dashed line because teams will have a higher percentage of ups. The good news is that these two strategies, adopting a prescriptive method framework and then improving your WoW through GCI, can be combined as shown in figure 1.11. We are constantly running into teams that have adopted a prescriptive agile method. Very often, Scrum or Safe that have plateaued because they have run into one or more issues not directly addressed by their chosen framework public method, because the method doesn't address the problem they face, and because they don't have expertise in that area, they tend to flounder. Ivor Jacobson has coined the term "they are stuck in method prison." By applying a continuous improvement strategy, or better yet CGI, their process improvement efforts soon get back on track. Furthermore, because the underlying business situation that you face is constantly shifting, it tells you that you cannot sit on your process laurels, but instead must adjust your vow to reflect the evolving situation. Here you can see figure 1.11, in which, evolving away from prospective agile method, they have uh, mixed up the guided continuous improvement, and it's shown as one line, adopting a prescriptive method framework. Primarily, if you are uh, not doing anything special, you are going for adopting a prescriptive method framework where you plateau. But in plateau, if you are continuously improving, you are excelling. But if you use guided continuous improvement, you tend to go down a bit, and then you have a sharp exponential growth. Going back a bit to see this uh, cartoon figure eight, here we have got three people. The person on the left says we need to experiment and fail fast. The lady in the middle says disciplined agile guidance helps us choose strategies that are more likely to succeed. And the lady on the right says guided choices lead to faster improvement. Okay. To be clear, CGI at the team level tends to be simplified version of what you would have. I think I've read it. Would do at the organizational level. At the team level, teams may choose to maintain an improvement backlog of things they hope to improve. At the organizational area or enterprise level, we may have a group of people guiding a large transformation or improvement effort that is focused on enabling teams to choose their wow and to address larger organization issues that teams cannot easily address on their own. Process tailoring workshops. Another common strategy to apply a DA to choose your wow is a process tailoring workshop called in a process tailoring workshop. A coach or team lead walks the team through important aspects of DAD, and the team discusses how they are going to work together. This typically includes choosing a life cycle, walking through the process goals one at a time, and addressing the decision points of each one, and discussing roles and responsibilities. A process tailoring workshop or several short workshops can be run at any time. As shown in figure 1.12, they are typically performed when a team is initially formed to determine how they will streamline their initiation efforts, what we call inception, described in detail in section 2, and just before construction begins, to agree on how that effort will be approached. Any process decision made in process tailoring workshops are not carved in stone, but instead evolve over time as the team learns. You always want to be learning and improving your process as you go. And in fact, most agile teams will regularly reflect on how to do so via holding retrospectives. In short, the purpose of process building workshops is to get your team going in the right direction, whereas the purpose of retrospective is to identify potential adjustments to that process. Here you can see figure 1.12 showing choosing and evolving your WoW over time. It starts with a dot leading to visualize existing process. From visualize existing process, you have two arrows going, one to the tailor initial WoW and other to identify potential improvement. And then there is a two-way arrow in between the tailor initial WoW as well as the identify potential improvement. The identify potential improvement is further linked onwards to implement potential improvement by a two-way arrow, and in the middle we have initial WoW tailoring or towards the upward side and ongoing WoW evolution towards the bottom side. Process tailoring workshop in a large financial institution by Daniel Gagnon. In my experience in running dozens of process tailoring workshops over several years with teams of every shape, size, and experience level and in different organizations, Gagnon, interestingly, the most recurring comment in what the workshops revealed all kinds of options we don't even realize were options. Although almost always a bit of a hard sell at the outset, I have yet to work with a team that is unable to quickly grasp and appreciate the value of these activities. Here are my lessons learned. 1. A team lead, architect, owner on our senior developer can actually stand in for most of the developers in the early stages. Tools help. We developed a simple spreadsheet to capture WoW choices. Number 3, teams can make immediate WoW decisions and identify future, more mature, aspirational choices that they set as improvement goals. 4, we defined a small handful of enterprise level choices to promote consistency across teams, including some infrastructure as code choices. 5, teams don't have to start from a blank slate, but instead can start with the choices made by a similar team and then tailor it from there. Here is an important note on determining participation. Ultimately, the teams themselves are the best arbiters of who should attend the session at varying stages of advancement. The support will become easier and easier to obtain as the benefits of allowing teams to choose their WoW become apparent. Daniel Gagnon has coached the adoption of discipline Agile in two large Canadian financial institutions and is now a senior Agile coach with Livio in Quebec. A valid question to ask is, what does the timeline look like for evolving the WoW within a team? Jonathan Smart, who guided the transformation at Barclays, recommends Dan North's visualize, stabilize, and optimize timeline as depicted in figure 1-1.13. You start by visualizing your existing WoW and then identifying a new potential WoW that the team believes will work for them. This is what the initial tailoring is all about. Then the team needs to apply that new WoW and learn how to make it work in their context. This stabilization phase could take several weeks or months, and once the team has stabilized its WoW, then it is in a position to evolve it via a GCI strategy. So figure 1.13 is about a timeline for process tailoring and improvement on our team. We have got three columns. In first column, we have got visualize. Second is stabilize. Third is optimize. Visualize as explore existing WoW and identify new WoW. In stabilize, we have apply your own new WoW, get training and coaching. And third is give yourself time to learn the new WoW. Third column is optimize, and there is only one thing under it: guided continuous improvement. The good news is that with effective facilitation, you can keep process tailoring workshops streamlined. To do this, we suggest that you Schedule several short sessions. You may not need all of them. Have a clear agenda. Set expectations. Invite the entire team. It's their process. Have an experienced facilitator. This can get contentious. Arrange a flexible workspace. This enables collaboration. A process tailoring workshop is likely to address several important aspects surrounding our way of working. Wow. Determine the rights and responsibilities of team members, which is discussed in detail in Chapter 4. How do we intend to organize, structure the team? What life cycle will the team follow? See Chapter 6 for more on this. What practices, strategies will we follow? Do we have a definition of ready DOR? And if so, what is it? Do we have a definition of done DOD? And if so, what is it? What tools will we use? Process tailoring workshops require an investment in time, but they are an effective way to ensure that team members are well aligned in how they intend to work together. Having said that, we want to keep these workshops as streamlined as possible and as they can easily take on a life of their own. The aim is to get going in the right process direction. You can always evolve process direction. As you always you learn what works and what does not work for you. Finally, you still need to involve some people who are experienced with agile delivery. DA provides a straightforward toolkit for choosing and evolving your WoW, but you still need the skills and knowledge to apply this toolkit effectively. While DA provides a library or toolkit, in just a moment, okay, let me go back a bit. Having said that, we want to keep these workshops as streamlined as possible as they can easily take on a life of their own. The aim is to get going in the right process direction. You can always evolve your WoW later as you learn what works and what does not work for you. Finally, you still need to involve some people who are experienced with agile delivery. DA provides a straightforward toolkit for choosing and evolving your WoW, but you still need the skills and knowledge to apply this toolkit effectively. While DA provides a library or toolkit of great ideas, in your organization, you may wish to apply some limits in the degree of self-organization your teams can apply. In DAD, we recommend self-organization within appropriate governance. As such, what we have seen with organizations that adopt DA is that they sometimes help steer the choices so that teams self-organize within commonly understood organizational guardrails. Enhanced retrospectives through guided improvement options. A retrospective is a technique that teams use to reflect on how effective they are and hopefully to identify potential process improvements to experiment with. As you would guess, DA can be used to help identify improvements that would have a good chance of working for you. As an example, perhaps you are having a discussion regarding excessive requirements churn due to ambiguous user stories and acceptance criteria. The observation may be that you need additional requirements model to clarify the requirements, but which model to choose? Referring to the explore scope process goal described in figure 9, chapter 9, sorry, you could choose to create a domain diagram to clarify the relationships between entities or perhaps a low fidelity user interface UI prototype to clarify user experience UX. We have observed that by using DA as a reference, teams are exposed to strategies and practices that they hadn't even heard of before. Enhance coaching by extending the coach process toolkit. DA is particularly valuable for agile coaches. First of all, an understanding of DA means that you have a larger toolkit of strategies that you can bring to bear to help solve your team's problems. Second, We often see coaches refer to DA to explain that some of the things that the teams or the organization itself sees as best practices are actually very poor choices, and that there are better alternatives to consider. Third, coaches use DA to help fill in the gaps in their own experience and knowledge. Documenting your wow. Sigh, we wish we could say that you don't need to document your wow. But the reality is that you very often do, and for one or more very good reasons. Number one, regulatory. Your team works in a regulatory environment where by law you need to capture your processes, your wow somehow. Number two, it is too complicated to remember. There are a lot of moving parts in your wow. Consider the goal diagram of figure 1.2. Your team will choose to adopt several of the strategies called out in it, and that's only one of 21 goals. As we said earlier, solution delivery is complex. We have done our best in DA to reduce this complexity so as to help you to choose your wow, but we can't remove it completely. It provides comfort. That is third point. Many people are uncomfortable with the idea of not having a defined process to follow, particularly when they are new to that process. They like to have something to refer to from time to time and to aid their learning. As they become more experienced in the team's wow, they will refer to the documentation less until finally they never use it at all. Because few people like to read process material, we suggest you keep it as straightforward as possible. Follow agile documentation practices such as keeping it concise and working closely with the audience, in this case the team itself, to ensure it meets their actual needs. Here are some options for capturing your wow. Use a simple spreadsheet to capture goal diagram choices. Create a A3 single sheet overview of the process. Put up posters on the wall. Capture the process concisely in a wiki. As we show in the Evolve Wow Process Goal, chapter 24, there are several strategies that you can choose from to capture your wow. A common approach is for a team to develop and commit to a working agreement. Working agreements will describe the roles and responsibilities that people will take the, on the team, the general rights and responsibilities of team members, and very often the team's process, their wow. As shown in figure 1.14, we like to distinguish between two important aspects of a team working agreement. The internal portion of it that describes how the team will work together, and the external portion of it that describe how others should interact with the team. The external portion of a team's working agreement in some ways is a service level agreement and our application programming interface API for the team. It may include a schedule of common meetings that others may attend. For example, daily coordination meetings and upcoming demos. An indication of how to access the team's automated dashboard, how to contact the team, and what the purpose of the team is. The team's working agreement, both internal and external aspects of it, will, of course, be affected by the organization, environment, and culture in which it operates. Figure 1.14 is about team working agreements, in which there is a team shown in the box in the center, and there are three arrows coming to it. One is team working agreement internal, then team working agreement external, and organizational culture. In summary, we have worked through several critical concepts in this chapter. Disciplined agile delivery, team choose this their own their way of working. You need to both be agile and know how to do agile. Solution delivery is complicated. There is no easy answer for how to do it. Disciplined agile provides the agonistic scaffolding to support a team in choosing their wow or to deliver software-based solutions. Other people have faced and overcome similar challenges to yours. DA enables you to leverage their learning. You can use this book to guide how to initially choose your wow and then evolve it over time. A guided continuous improvement GCI approach will help your teams to break or break out of method prison and thereby improve their effectiveness. The real goal is to effectively achieve desired organizational outcomes, not to be do agile. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. This brings us to the end of first chapter, and now we enter into second chapter, which is about being disciplined. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. First, let me read out the key points in this chapter. Number one, Agile Manifesto is a great starting point, but it isn't sufficient. Lean principles are critical to success for Agile solution delivery teams in the enterprise. Disciplined Agile mindset is based on 7 principles, 7 promises, and 8 guidelines. And fourth point, there are several hashtag rebellions, but that we can learn from. So starting from the very first sentence, what does it mean to be disciplined? To be disciplined is to do the things that we know are good for us, things that usually require hard work and perseverance. It requires discipline to regularly delight our customers. It takes discipline for teams to become awesome. It requires discipline from leaders to ensure that their people have a safe environment to work in. It takes discipline to recognize that we need to tailor our way of working for the context that we face and to evolve our WoW as the situation evolves. It takes discipline to recognize that we are part of a larger organization, that we should do what's best for the enterprise and not just what's convenient for us. It requires discipline to evolve and optimize our overall workflow, and it requires discipline to realize that we have many choices regarding how we work and organize ourselves, so we should choose accordingly. The manifesto of Agile software development. In 2001, the publication of the Manifesto for Agile Software Development, or Agile Manifesto for short, started the Agile movement. The manifesto captures 4 values supported by 12 principles, which are listed below. It was created by a group of 17 people with deep experience in software development. The goal was to describe what they had found to work in practice rather than describe what they hoped would work in theory. Although it sounds like an obvious thing to do now, back then this was arguably a radical departure from the approach taken by the many thought leaders in the software engineering community. The Manifesto for Agile Software Development, we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. Through this work, we have come to value. Number 1, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Number 2, working software over comprehensive documentation. Number 3, customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Number 4, responding to change over following a plan. That is, while there is value in the terms on the right, we value the items on the left more. There are 12 principles behind the Agile Manifesto that provide further guidance to practitioners. These principles are: our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Number 2, welcome changing requirements. Even late in development, agile processes harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. Deliver working software frequently for a couple of weeks to a couple of months with a preference to the shorter time scale. Business people and developers must work together daily throughout the project. Build projects around motivated individuals, give them the environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done. The most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation. Working software is the primary measure of progress. Agile process promotes sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility. Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done. is essential. The best architectures, requirements, and designs emerge from self-organizing teams. And last point, number 12, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. The publication of Manifesto for Agile Software Development has proven to be a milestone for the software development world, and we have seen in recent years for the business community as well. But time has had its toll, and the manifesto is showing its age in several ways. Number one, it is limited software development. The manifesto purposefully focused on software development, not other aspects of IT, and certainly not other aspects of our overall enterprise. Many of the concepts can be modified to fit these environments, and they have over the years. Thus, the manifesto provides valuable insight that we can evolve and should be evolved and extended for a broader scope that was originally intended. The software development world has moved on. The manifesto was crafted to reflect the environment in the 1990s, and some of the principles are out of date. For instance, the third principle suggests that we should deliver software from every few weeks to a couple of months. At the time, it was an accomplishment to have a demonstrable increment of a solution even every month. In modern times, however, the bar is significantly higher, with agile proficient companies delivering functionality many times a day, in part because the manifesto helped us to get on a better path. Number three, we have learned a lot since then. Long before Agile, organizations were adopting lean ways of thinking and working. Since 2001, Agile and lean strategies have not only thrived on their own, but they have been successfully commingled. As we will soon see, this commingling is an inherent aspect of the DA mindset. DevOps, the merging of software development and IT operations lifecycle, has clearly evolved as a result of this commingling. There are few organizations that haven't adopted or are at least in the process of adopting DevOps way of working, which chapter 1 showed are an integral part of the DA toolkit. Our point is that it's about more than just agile. Lean software development. The DA mindset is based on a combination of agile and lean thinking. An important starting point for understanding lean thinking is the lean mindset of Mary and Tom Poppendick. In this book, they show how the 7 principles of lean manufacturing can be applied to optimize the entire value stream. There is great value in this, but we must also remember that most of us are not manufacturing cars or anything else for that matter. There are several types of work that lean applies to manufacturing, services, physical world product development, and virtual software development, among others. While we like the groundbreaking work of the Poppendick, we prefer to look at the principle to see how they can apply anywhere. Poppendick, these examples are: number one, eliminate waste. Lean thinking advocates regard any activity that does not directly add value to the finished product as waste. That is Womack Jones. The 3 biggest sources of waste in our work are the addition of unrequired features, project churn, and crossing organizational boundaries, particularly between stakeholders and development teams. To reduce waste, it is critical that teams be allowed to self-organize and operate in a manner that reflects the work they are trying to accomplish. In product development work, the physical and virtual world, we spend considerable time discovering what is of value. Doing that, this is not waste. We have seen many people have endless debates on what waste is because of this. We propose that a critical waste to eliminate is the waste of time due to delays in workflow. On reflection, it can be verified that most waste is reflected even caused by delays in workflow. We build unrequired features because we build too large batches and have delays in feedback as to whether they are needed, for we are not writing our acceptance tests, which delays understanding what we need. Project churn, in particular errors, is almost always due to getting out of sync without realizing we are. Crossing organizational boundaries is almost always an action that incurs delays on as one part of the organization waits for the other. To build quality in our process should not allow defects to occur in the first place, but when this is impossible, we should work in such a way that we do a bit of work, validate it, fix any issues that we find, and then iterate, inspecting after the fact and queuing up defects to be fixed at some time in the future isn't as effective. Agile practices that build quality into our process conclude test-driven development (TDD) and non-solo development practices such as pair programming, mob programming, and modeling with others, mob modeling. All of these techniques are described later in this book. Number 3, create knowledge. Planning is useful, but learning is essential. We want to promote strategies such as working iteratively that helps teams discover what stakeholders really want and act on that knowledge. It's also important for team members to regularly reflect on what they are doing and then act to improve their approach through experimentation. 4. Defer commitment. It's not necessary to start solution development by defining a complete specification, and in fact, that appears to be a questionable strategy at best. We can support the business effectively through flexible architecture that are change tolerant and by scheduling irreversible decisions for when we have some information and our decisions will be better the last possible moment. Frequently, deferring commitment until the last responsible moment requires the ability to close couple end-to-end business scenario to capabilities developed in multiple applications by multiple teams. In fact, a strategy of deferring commitments to projects in a way keeping our opinions open. Software offers some additional mechanisms for deferring commitment through the use of emergent design, automated tests, and pattern thinking. Essential decisions can often be deferred with virtually to no cost. In many ways, agile software development is based on the concept that incremental delivery takes little extra implementation time while enabling developers to save mountains of effort that would otherwise be built on creating features that were not useful. Fifth point, deliver quickly. It is possible to deliver high quality solutions quickly by limiting the work of a team to within its capacity. We can establish a reliable and repeatable flow of work. An effective reorganization doesn't demand teams do more than they are capable of, but instead ask them to self-organize and determine what outcomes they can accomplish. Constraining teams to delivering potential shippable solutions on a regular basis motivates them to stay focused and continuously adding value. Respect people. The Popendek also observed that sustainable advantage is gained from engaged thinking people. The implication is that we need a lean approach to governance that focuses on motivating and enabling teams, not on controlling them. Optimize the whole. If we want to be effective at a solution, we must look at the bigger picture. We need to understand the high level business processes that are value team sports. Processes that often cross multiple systems and multiple teams. We need to manage programs of inter related efforts so we can deliver a complete product service or to our stakeholders. Measurements should address how well we are delivering business value, and the team should be focused on delivering valuable outcomes to its stakeholders. The disciplined agile mindset. A disciplined agile mindset is summarized in figure 2.1 and is described as a collection of principles, promises, and guidelines. We like to say that we believe in these 7 principles, so we promise to one another that we will work in a disciplined manner and follow a collection of guidelines that enable us to be effective. This is figure 2.1, the disciplined agile mindset. Okay, we believe that we believe in these principles. There are 7 such principles, 8 such principles here. Delight customer, be awesome, context counts, be pragmatic, choice is good, optimize now, organize around product service, and enterprise awareness. So these are 8 principles of disciplined agile. I do agree that Agile Manifesto had 12, and many other agile methodologies have different number of principles. So here we have got 8. So we promise, what do we promise here? We promise again 7 things. Number 1, create psychological safety and embrace diversity. Accelerate value realization. Collaborate proactively. Make all work and workflow visible. Improve predictably. Keep workloads within capacity and improve continuously. And then are the guidelines. Follow these guidelines. These are 8 guidelines. Validate our learnings. Apply design thinking. Attend to relationships through the value stream. Create effective environment that foster joy. Change culture by improving the system. Create semi-autonomous, self-organizing teams. Adopt measures to improve outcome, leverage and enhance organizational assets. तो ये जनाब सब कुछ आपकी they are available as instructions for you. We believe in these principles. Let's begin with the 7 principles behind the disciplined agile toolkit. These ideas aren't new. There is a plethora of successes from which these ideas have emerged, including Alistair McCaughey's work around Heart of Agile, Joshua Krivsky, Modern Agile, and of course the Agile Manifesto for Software Development described earlier. In fact, the disciplined agile toolkit has always been a hybrid of great strategies from the very beginning, with the fatigue being on how all of these strategies fit together in practice. While we have a strong belief in a scientific approach and what works, we are agnostic as to how. The DA mindset starts with 7 fundamental principles as we recited them earlier. Delight customer, be awesome, content counts, be pragmatic, choice is good, optimize flow, organize around product oblique services, and enterprise awareness. So taking them one by one. First principle, delight customers. Customers are delighted when our product and services not only fulfill their demand and expectation but surpass them. Consider the last time you checked into a hotel. If you are lucky, there was no line, your room was available, and there was nothing wrong with or when you got there. You were likely satisfied with the service, but that's about it. No, now imagine that you were greeted by name by the concierge when you arrived, that your favorite snack was waiting for you in the room, and that you received a complimentary upgrade to a room with a magnificent review, all without asking. This would be more than satisfying and would very likely delight you. Although the upgrade won't happen every time you check in, it's a nice touch when it does, and you are likely to stick with the hotel chain because they treat you so well. System design tells us to build with the customer in mind, to work with them closely, and to build in small increments and then set feedback so that we better understand what will actually delight them. As disciplined agilists, we enhance change. We embrace change because we know that our stakeholders will see new possibilities as they learn what they truly want as the solution evolves. We also strive to discover what our customer to complete a task or provide the right information at the exact moment. This means you win. Second principle, be awesome. Who doesn't want to be awesome? Who doesn't want to be part of an awesome team doing awesome things while working for an awesome organization? We all want these things. Recently, Jonathan Kervisky has popularized and noted that modern modern agile teams make people awesome, and of course it isn't much of a leap that we want awesome teams and awesome organizations. Two, similarly, Mary and Tom Poppendick observed the sustainable advantage is gained for being thinking people, as does Richard Sheridan. Joy Incorporated Sheridan help helping people to be awesome in important because, as Richard Branson of the Virgin Group, uh, take care of your employees and they will take care of your business. There are several things that we as individual can do to be awesome. First and foremost, act in such a way that we earn the respect and trust of our colleagues. Be reliable, be honest, be open, be ethical, and treat them with respect. Secondly, willingly collaborate with others, share information with them when asked, even if it is a very good work in progress, offer help when it is needed, and just as important, reach out for help yourself. Third, be an active learner. We should seek no master our crafts, always believe, always being on the lookout for opportunities to experiment and learn. Go beyond our specialty and team about the broader software process and business environment. By becoming a T-skilled generalizing specialist, we will be able to better appreciate where others are coming from and thereby interact with them more effectively. Agile modeling. Fourth, seek to never let the team down. Yes, it will happen sometimes, and good teams understand and forgive them. Fifth, Simon Powers points out that we needed to be willing to improve and manage our emotional standards to uh, difficult situations. Innovation requires diversity, and by their new nature, diverse opinions may cause emotional reactions. We must all work on making our workplace psychologically safe. Awesome teams also choose to build quality in from the very beginning. Lean tells us to fix any quick quality issues and the way you way our work that cause them. Instead of debating which bugs we can skip over for later. We want to learn how to avoid them completely. As you are working towards this, we work in such a way that we do a bit of work. Okay. Okay, I think it is time. I should close it down. At this point, we are on page number 26. Okay, at this point, if somebody has any point, we have got Kamar and Mojis sitting here. Any questions, dear? Ji, Kamar.
सर असल एक पॉइंट है, मैंने वो ड्राफ्ट रिव्यू किया था 7 गॉट चांस के वो पिमबॉक वाला एक उन्होंने ओपन किया था फोरम, तो आई रिव्यूड दैट. उसमें ना सिमिलर वैल्यू की बात करता है, जैसे कस्टमर की वैल्यू की, कस्टमर सेटिस्फेक्शन की. क्या डायनेमिक्स चेंज हो रहे हैं और ओवरऑल ग्लोबली को डायनेमिक्स चेंज हो रहे हैं, लाइक हम वी आर गोइंग टुवर्ड्स एजाइल और हाइब्रिड अप्रोच? क्या सारा ये की टिल्ट क्यों है टुवर्ड्स लाइक एजाइल?
सर पूरी दुनिया में रेवोल्यूशन आ रहा है, चीजें तेज हो रही हैं, फास्ट पेस टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई है. अब हम अभी तक वही पुराने बाथरूम के दरवाजे में पांव उड़ा के खड़े हुए हैं, कुंडी भी नहीं लगवाते उसकी. तो मतलब इतना फास्ट पेस है सिस्टम कि अभी हम पीछे रुक नहीं सकते. अभी इस वक्त आपका जो कस्टमर है, जो मतलब वो आपसे कहता है कि मुझे चलते फिरते चीजें बना के दो, मेरी रिक्वायरमेंट बाद में सुन लेना, लेकिन चीज पहले शुरू कर दो. तो मतलब ये कि हम उसको रेजिस्ट करते हैं. आप रेजिस्ट करना छोड़ें और काम करना शुरू करें, फिर देखें एजाइल चलता है कि नहीं चलता.
That's it. So thank you.
मेजर शिफ्ट है, मेजर शिफ्ट. जी जनाब.
Exactly, yes. Look, yes.
जी मुझे साहब इलेक्ट्रिक फेलियर अरशद महमूद साहब कह रहे हैं. अच्छा अरशद महमूद साहब भी आए थे. ओके सो
अस्सलाम वालेकुम सर.
जी जनाब.
सर एक क्वेश्चन तो कोई खास ऐसा नहीं है, बस एक चीज पूछना चाह रहा था. जो प्रिंसिपल्स दिए, माइंडसेट दिए डीए के, वो 7 प्रिंसिपल्स लिखे हैं, लेकिन इन काउंटिंग वो 8 बन रहे हैं. ऐसा क्या है सर?
हाँ मुझे भी ऐसे ही नजर आया कुछ. हाँ मुझे भी
लगा शायद नजरों का धोखा है मेरे, लेकिन मैंने कहा मैं पूछ लूं आपसे.
हाँ 1 मिनट 25 तक हमने पढ़ लिया ना. प्रिंसिपल 1 2 3 4
22 पे या 23 पे
8 हैं
जी.
प्रिंसिपल 1 2 3 4 5 6. हाँ ये देखें ना, यहाँ गलती की हुई. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 और अच्छा नहीं, वो प्रिंसिपल कुछ और हैं, ये प्रिंसिपल्स कोई और हैं जी. ये जो 7 प्रिंसिपल दिए हुए हैं ये कोई और हैं. ये वाले जो 7 प्रिंसिपल दिए हैं वो नहीं है. ये जो हैं ये हैं पोपनडेक के, और इन्होंने जो डीए के प्रिंसिपल दिए हैं वो 8 हैं. 8 प्रिंसिपल हैं, 7 प्रॉमिस हैं और 8 गाइडलाइंस हैं. गॉट इट जी?
राइट सर, थैंक यू.
मोस्ट वेलकम जी, मोस्ट वेलकम. कल इंशाल्लाह जी 25 से शुरू करेंगे हम. ये हम कहाँ पहुंच गए? मैं को थोड़ा गलत
सर आपको थोड़ा नीचे जाना है. यहाँ से
नहीं, यहाँ
इंशाल्लाह
ये नहीं पहुंचे हम.
सर ये नीचे आप आ गए, थोड़ा एक ऊपर है.
ये वाली जगह है जी, ये वाली.
ये प्रिंसिपल कॉन्टेक्स्ट काउंट से स्टार्ट होगा कल.
हाँ जी, कल कॉन्टेक्स्ट स्टार्ट होगा. चलें जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच. बड़ा अच्छा आपके साथ टाइम रहा, और इंशाल्लाह कल फिर मिलते हैं इसी टाइम पे. टेक केयर एंड खुदा हाफिज.
थैंक यू सर. इंशाल्लाह. थैंक यू. अल्लाह हाफिज.